everybody. This is IT Live, and it's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Texas Homer. That's Paul Wadlington. This is the Tuesday show. We break down the upcoming matchup, and this week it happens to be the Arkansas Razorbacks. Fun offense they've got. Defense, sketchy as hell, but we'll see what we think about it. First, you guys need to head over to Inside Texas. $1 for 1 month. We'd love to see you over there. Recruiting, team analysis, analysis about the team, and team news. So come hang out. It's a really fun time. It's an active board. You won't get bored on the board. There we go, Paul. That's a good way to phrase it. Got a new marketing term now.
I like that.
Let's get your Georgia quick thoughts before we move into Arkansas. I know the people want to hear what you have to say about that game.
Well, I had a lot to say. I wrote, I think, almost 5,000 words on Sunday. I basically watched the game and then wrote all day. And that was a program litmus test, bit of a benchmark, and it's one of 3 benchmarks we've had against Georgia in the last 13 months. And we've come up wanting against the Bulldogs. So I think whatever hopes people had that we'd sort of turned a corner, like, hey, we've still got our season in front of us. This is the big game. We have a bye week. Georgia's coming off a honest week of prep against Mississippi State. They weren't working Texas, right? And that's what we put out. That was the product. So I think a lot of things that I felt or I'd said came to light, unfortunately. I didn't think Taff and McDonald returning was a panacea. That proved to be the case because if you guys have been watching the deep dive of the All-22, and if you like this show, it would make sense that you also watch those shows. Ian and I were trying to point out schematically we're broken. Schematically we're incompetent. And it doesn't really matter who's back there because it's just going to be a better player still in the same scheme that's not coherent. So that's a problem. I thought Arch Manning actually played well. I understand people see everything through the litmus of the quarterback and his box score. But if you look at how he played in terms of the pressure he was getting, which was pretty withering, so that answered the question about is left guard fixed? No, it's not. Cole Hudson was as bad as any game that Connor Stroh or Nick Brooks had. So Vanderbilt was a one-off.
That interception was Cole Hudson. He got driven right back into Arch, and Arch has to try to at the last second and sails it.
Yep. Oh yeah, I mean it's unfortunate. The hope is that you can win 2 more games. I think that's unlikely. But I think if you have that goal, you better start this weekend with Arkansas because I can tell you if we play poorly, they're fully capable of beating us, despite a record that screams that's not possible. Yeah. I think we're pretty vulnerable in some spots that they can exploit and at least make it a shooting match where, our offense has to be on point if we're going to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. This is not a game off 100%. Petrino's done a really good job over there. All right. We are going to cleanse ourselves of Georgia. It no longer exists. We will move forward to Arkansas. Let us beginneth. Ooh, nice looking. Look what I did for you, Paul. What color is that?
Oh, burnt orange, man.
There you go, dude.
Good job, buddy. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, we were able to get it fixed.
Tan and buckskin are not the colors of the Longhorns.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what I was thinking, dude.
I don't know.
All right. So this Arkansas offense is a good offense. Now they do some weird stuff. You'll see they shoot themselves in the foot, so they can put a limiter on themselves. But overall, they've been really effective, and their scheme has been solid. They have some players. Of course, their quarterback is a fun player. Omega Blake at wideout. Their backs are big dudes. So it's going to be interesting. And if the Texas defense continues to schematically get checkmated every 3 plays, then it's going to be tricky. It doesn't matter about the talent of your player, quote unquote, if they're, 7 yards away from where they need to make the play.
Uncovered receivers are easy to hit.
Exactly. All right. So they're 24th in points per game. Man, I had to watch that Arkansas LSU game. That game sucked. That game was so boring. And
really?
Yeah, and Van Buren got the start because Nussmeier's out, and I wanted to see Van Buren from Mississippi State. And I mean, they won, but it was just not a fun. It was just wasn't enjoyable. And then in the corner of my eyes, you got South Carolina and A&M, and it was a doozy. But 24th in points per game. They are 95th in plays per game. So not crazy there. Time of possession really low. 117th. Yards per play, they are 7th, though. That's important. 28th in opponent points per drive. 13th in success rate. So they're making good calls consistently. And why do I love success rate? Georgia was good in success rate, all of that kind of stuff. The only one that didn't really pan out, Vanderbilt was really, really good at success rate, but didn't pan out. But just be aware, this is a team that can execute, and they have some explosiveness at 28th. This is where they get into trouble, though. This is why they're Jekyll and Hyde on offense. Havoc rate overall is 87th, 75th in front seven. The DBs are 104th. So you guys have heard the meme of Arkansas, like they're on the cusp of winning and then just something breaks at the end, or they make a dumb play, or they intercept, or what was the Memphis one where they fumble at like about to score and win the game. So if the offense could get out of their own way and not create turnovers, this would be a very, very scary offense. But for now, it's just scary without any berries on it. What do you think, Paul, overall?
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up. Petrino's always been a pretty good play caller, man. He dials it up pretty well. And I think if Arkansas's wide receivers were a little more upgraded, they would be they'd go from dangerous to like out of this league dangerous.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they're not super explosive, but Taylon Green is an amplifier. He can be a little wild at times, but man, he can make the throw when it's presented sometimes. And he's also 6'5", 240, right? And can run around and stuff. So he's not easy to get on the ground. As you said, the running backs, Washington goes 240?
Let's see here. So
Braylon Russell's 240. Yeah.
Washington is 228. They had Rodney Hill in because Braylon didn't play last week. I'll have to check back in on him. But yeah, they have some sizable running backs. And I liked Braylon Russell last year.
Yeah. And Washington, I've just seen him gouge people.
He's at 6.5 yards per carry, third in the SEC. So like it's good performance.
Yeah, he gets low behind his pads and he's got a little burst once he runs a guy over. He tore up A&M. And every time I've checked in on him, he's doing something good. He was at New Mexico State.
I know that.
Just goes to show you, like, running back, how available these guys are and how proven they are. Just the idea of recruiting running backs in high school, other than maybe one a year or one every other year, it's just insane to me. I don't understand the value proposition.
Well, it's really scalable too. It's one of the easiest positions to take from a lower tier into the modern or the top tiers and it work.
100%. Yeah. Happens every year.
And that's a good point that you kind of keyed in on the running game, because that's where a lot of their value is. So rushing play success rate 5th. So they have the big backs that are performing well on top of just, not big for no reason. And then you have Taylon Green's threat of the run on top of that, who's a very high variance player. As Paul says, wild. And the wild will swing from wild awesome to wild horrible. But my point is, half of it is wild awesome and hard to anticipate. Now, last year we did a really good job of containing him. But we'll have to see if that's the case, because this defense.
There's nothing we can take from last year.
I was going to say this defense.
Texas defense, it's not recognizable as a unit.
It's nowhere close to the level of last year.
It's not even.
Yeah, I would like to see the FEI from the Texas defense of just like the second half of the season, because they're 15th right now, and that's when they got to play a lot of easier opponents. So I suspect they're far worse if we just looked at like SEC play too.
Charlie Williams says, looking forward to my guy Caden Kittler versus our D line. I heard Charlie saying Heil Kittler, and man,
yeah, we had to have a talk with him.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, we talked with him. He's good. He did some trainings. Rushing explosivity 31st. They don't rush a lot though. I mean, you can see rushing plays rate 73rd, rushing attempts per game 76th. But yards per rush, this is for real number 4. You got to be aware of that, because if they can get those advantageous situations, then Petrino can start really scheming up and setting up. So slow the run game. Now, if we look at the flip side at the Texas run defense here, we're good at rushing explosivity. I mean, we hold all these advantages minus success rate. But these are, of course, are including every game. So we have to see a little bit more recently. The run defense, of course, wore down at the end of Georgia, and Florida was able to push us around. Now, what do you think of Arkansas's run game style? Are they a push you around style?
They did a pretty good job rebuilding the offensive line, because they got completely picked over. They've got guys starting at Kentucky and Ole Miss this year who were mainstays for them last year. They were able to go in the portal and get guys, once again.
So
amazing that there are functional offensive linemen available in the portal, even for a team like Arkansas. Corey Robinson was an important addition. He's a pretty good pass protector. Fernando Carmona is a guy who carried over from last year that they like. Kittler has come in and actually done a good job stabilizing at center. The real issues are on the right side. Kobe Branham, I didn't like what I saw from him. And then Emarian Harris is a disaster at times in pass pro.
So PFF does like the right guard, but they do not like the right tackle at all. So, like, according to PFF, right, and Robinson is a top 50 run blocker. Carmona is a top 25 run blocker. And then Kobe Branham is supposedly a top 25 run blocker. So they have 3 top 50. 2 of those are top 25 PFF run blockers. For whatever.
Yeah, I buy that. They also, Petrino does a good job of like scheming it up. He helps his O-line, right? It's not just, I want to drop back and throw the ball and, you guys do your best. He's calling plays to help them to create indecision in the defensive line. And hey, when you've got some big backs running downhill, when you got a big running back, a big quarterback who can certainly pull the ball down and run, that does create a little bit of hesitance. One thing that Georgia did that I thought was pretty brilliant, they thoroughly outcoached us. And one area where they really did was Bobo was about 75% zone runs against us instead of gap. Georgia had been a heavy gap team.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of those zone runs and some of that outside zone was to make our edges not fire up the field and really exploit them on, more predictable or say like neutral pass rundowns. And I thought Bobo made that little adjustment. They didn't really like destroy us running the ball, but it was enough that if you're an edge, you're worried about getting hooked on outside zone and, Nate Frazier getting around the corner. So I thought that was just a smart adjustment. I bet Arkansas does some stuff that's similar, especially with Taylon Green keeping it going the other direction on zone read.
Yeah, it's very interesting when a team is this competent in the run, but they still don't go to it a lot. Like rushing plays right now, of course, football is so weird, right? When they don't run a lot, it's only at 51.76%.
Yeah,
it's like you're dealing with like what 1 or 2 plays in that variable, but
it is. 20 years ago, you'd be called a passing offense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A run. A passing offense, and that's some of the mix. Also, Arkansas is behind a lot.
Good point.
Establishing the run game ain't really a thing if your defense is, you're down, you're giving up 35 at halftime to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even factor that in for whatever reason. So Texas does have the paper advantages here, but we'll see. Their offensive line yards are really good. They're 9th in the country here. Texas ties them at 9th on the defensive side, but they haven't been successful in the gotta have it downs, 3rd and 4th and shorts, and they do get a high stuff rate. So kind of those moments of intrigue, they're failing, but down to down, they're having a lot of success in the rushing game. All right, here's the pass game, 24th in success rate, and so execution and efficiency, 39th in explosivity. Completion rate is low, though, with old boy Taylon Green averaging about 61% completion, 19th in yards per pass, but they are 105th in quarterback sacked percentage. Taylon Green likes to try to extend. It doesn't always go so great.
Yeah, the broad perception that a dual threat quarterback helps you avoid sacks, they tend to blunder into sacks.
Correct. Yeah, because they'll extend the time trying to make a play.
He's
So
just like, I know I can make something happen. I know I can make something happen. Nope, I didn't make something happen. And now it's 3rd and 18.
yep. Kirby was dropping wisdom post game. Kirby at every opportunity has been sneak dissing in the post game and all of his stuff yesterday. Georgia fans got mad at me yesterday on Twitter, boy. Kirby said, they asked him some throw, here you go, Kirby, knock it out of the park question. They're like, something about teams transferring their physicality. He's really been hyping the physicality because he lost a lot of recruiting battles to us. And so now he's saying, well, if you want to be physical, come to Georgia. But he was like, it's simple. When they transfer, we schedule them. And I was like, just factually, that makes no sense. You don't schedule the SEC, right? And then who's your non-con? Georgia Tech, who's always. So you don't schedule that. And so you had Austin P, Charlotte, and Marshall, I believe. So I was like, do you have a ton of transfers from Georgia going there? Like, I get what Kirby's trying to do, but it just doesn't make sense. And so,
you know what, smart guy? Your team's 0-3 against them.
Exactly what, dude. The Georgia fans disregarded the entire. It was all just cope, dude. You're mad. None of them touched my point because there's nothing to argue against. But they're all just like, "How's it feel, man? Belt to ass." It's like it does. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that he's not making sense. But he is just trying to shoehorn the physical concept, even when it makes no sense. But he's been getting after it, making fun of us. And they were like, yeah, he's really talking about y'all. And I was like, I know he is, but that's why it didn't make any sense. He didn't schedule us. Like, what are you talking about?
He's like, I'm not going to say who, but some teams in orange or white cutting checks.
And I was like, just say it, but you're just talking about we scheduled it. It's like, no,
about Tennessee.
Well, I'm like, and who did we get from you? Like A.D. Mitchell, who promptly had a great season. So it's like we're not even taking a bunch of Georgia transfer. He is dissing, but he's not making sense when he's doing it. All right, 19 yards per pass, quarterback sack. The pass game is fun though. Now on the flip side, let's look at the
guy in the chat just said we need to hire a fat coach.
It does help, man. Because what you know is that there's a literal hunger there. But maybe it goes, and a little bit of gluttony is good.
There's a literal hunger.
Yeah, there's a literal hunger there.
You don't think Kirby's wife dresses him?
Oh, you know it. But it's like, I'm not even going to bring that up. It's not appropriate for the channel. But somebody did a crazy video ranking SEC wives that was all over Twitter.
The ones they'd smash?
Yeah, the smash or pass. That one video was absolutely wild. But I'm okay. Yeah, fat coaches are solid. Passing explosivity on the defense.
We got to run this by Kelson if he's ever had a fat coach.
Yeah, he needs to let us know if there's a benefit to it. So this is something about the Texas pass defense is we're 121st in the country in facing passes. So we're getting if we have the lead, people are going to pass, but the secondary is not coordinated, not doing a good job, and being attacked a lot. And so that's a factor you have to pay attention to. Our passing explosivity is now 28th. You remember when it was 3rd in the country and it was all bend but don't break? Everything's just been dropping steadily for the Texas defense, and it's been a little rough. We're still 53rd in opponent yards per pass, and I think people can relate to that with why are you playing off coverage? Why are you giving them easy stuff? They are. The saving grace here in a mismatch we have is that our sack rate is 9th and they're getting sacked as 105th. So maybe you can do the same thing last year a little bit in containing Taylon Green because there is a mismatch there. Any major points? I know the fans just want to hear what do you think of the Texas secondary?
Not busting coverages helps your coverage.
Why do you think we're busting coverages?
I think we have a Frankenstein's defense that's put together by committee, and I think it's more of an HOA than, top men.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's some inconsistency there. I pointed out, for some time that, someone like Will Muschamp in his heyday at Texas, that's a complete defensive coordinator, right? He can coach and coordinate every aspect of the defense. He can set the back end. He can set the front. And in the modern game, you really have to start your defense backwards, forwards in terms of scheme, not forwards, backwards. And, you know, you're not a complete defensive coordinator if you sort of need help on the back end. And if you bring in people on the back end that aren't good, you're going to end up with, or some, not even just not good, but philosophically you disagree, you're going to end up with this incoherence. And that's what Texas is right now.
I can't find the question, but someone asked, is the struggles with the secondary coaching, is that because it's year one overlap, or is it just the coaching's not great?
This group will never succeed together.
Yeah. I don't expect, and I'm not talking bluntly, I'm not talking Orfe. When I'm discussing this, I'm talking Akina.
Orfe's the low man in the room.
Right.
So people blaming him, I don't think that's fair. Same with Kenato Hudson. So, it kind of is what it is. And Sark is going to have a lot of evaluations and a lot of things to do in the offseason. But there's a reason most defensive coordinators, if you guys look, most defensive coordinators are former DBs. Okay, that's just a fact. The next most likely group is former linebackers. So if you're a former defensive tackle or edge or just a defensive lineman in general, people are actually very leery of you as a defensive coordinator unless you can prove I've studied the back end. I understand defense from soup to nuts. But most defensive coordinators that you'll see in the NFL or college football are former DBs, especially sort of the superstars. There's a handful of linebackers. Very difficult to find former defensive linemen, just because as you get more and more towards the passing game, and frankly, the rules of offense favor the defense more every year. You have to have that perspective if you want to be able to run coverages and secondary stuff, right?
Well, they literally don't have the perspective. Like they're right. They're right. They literally cannot see.
That's a great point, Connor. I mean, you're literally in a very small compartmentalized world, and it's very important. I mean, hugely important to your defense. But in terms of setting and aligning your defense, your safeties and your Mike linebacker are seeing a lot more than a guy who's in the trench.
Yeah, your widest view is like maybe you're running a stunt, like working a game with somebody. But if you notice, it's the linebackers that's patting them into gaps and all of that kind of stuff. They're more of a point and shoot position or focus really on one-on-ones. All right. So this is what's interesting here. Interesting. I'm going to keep being myself, guys, and saying how I say it.
You be you.
They are officially a better offense than we are a defense. So on OFEI and DFEI, Texas is now down to 15th. We started the year at number 2 and just been on a steady climb down. So Arkansas has the offensive advantage versus the Texas defense. I was wondering when this switch was going to occur, but it has occurred. And then how I look at these are OF plus is including recruiting rankings and talent rankings. So Arkansas is right at where their talent is, but both having 13th. Notice Texas has the advantage when we include recruiting rankings. So if Texas is 11th with recruiting rankings and without it, we're 15th. We are underperforming our technical talent, which to me points to coaching, because people are like, it feels like our players are low IQ and all of that. They're going to look low IQ if they're poorly coached. They're also going to look low IQ whenever Bobo is just like, that's the rules of your defense. You're going to take a corner to safety if I make this motion and now I have the boundary. Yeah, they're going to look dumb, but it's the coordinator that's being dumb. So there's that issue too. But also, my whole point wasn't even schematic coming in this year. I was like, losing Barron and Makuba are like, you had two special athletes who are incredibly smart.
They're football geniuses.
Yeah, like those guys were brilliant players. And so it's just like, of course, the IQ is going to look different from last year, but I'm not quick to just call the player dumb when I can see that it's our scheme being attacked and broken play after play after play. Now, there are some busts where you're just like, come on, man. But you got to rep that so much that that's not even a possibility. Situational offense. Now we're into some homer stats. This is what I really look at. And so I was pointing this out earlier in the season that
our situational D is just getting worse every
That's
game.
what I was gonna like. And it was even like beginning of the year, we were still kind of in that phase of like, well, at least the defense is elite. And a lot of the metrics were. But our situation, like our standards downs rate was always like in the 30s. And even starting out, and I was like, I don't think you can be elite when you're letting teams get into good situations that often. And then sure enough, as the season panned out, that's why I'm obsessed with like this little bracket of the stats, because I think it's not a common stat that people get to see unless you pull them like this. And it tells a lot more of the story than just like looking at third downs and stuff. So standard downs rate, putting themselves in good positions where the playbook is open and you can trick people. Arkansas is 34th. Texas's D is 53rd. Still above average, but not anywhere in the ballpark of elite. And they've been successful on standard downs. So Georgia had this thing too, right? They were really good on 1st and 10s, getting them into 2nd and 4s, and now they're in 3rd and 1s. And that was a big factor. So they have the advantage there. The inverse of standard downs rate is passing downs rate. So, of course, they have the advantage there. But they're doing well on passing down success rate, ranked 11th. So, and you'll see a really weird mismatch here that I still can't explain. Maybe you can think it up, but I can't figure it out. They have the advantage. Early downs EPA, they are 5th, better than Texas. Their third down, they're converting at 17th. That's great, beating Texas. But what's weird is their average third down distance is 103rd. So it's like, how are you 5th in early downs EPA, and you're also really good at passing down success rate, yet you're somehow not in advantageous third down distance? I don't understand it. But just know this world is a confusing place, and we just can't narrativize all of it, okay?
Wow.
Yeah. It's the cosmos, dude. It's the cosmos.
How about a nice simpleton stat? Red zone touchdowns.
5th in the country.
And we're
113th in the country on D.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good at all.
No, I mean, like, so that was really highlighted in the Georgia game. You know, bend but don't break has its merits, right? Prevent explosives, don't allow single play, big scores. As the team progresses and the field gets narrower and shorter, hey, we're going to hold up. We're going to, blitz them out of a field goal range if they're on the 25, right? If they get inside that, we're going to hold down in the red zone. They're going to kick a field goal. If you bust coverages, Georgia was looking to throw the ball in the red zone. You guys may have noticed, right?
Yeah.
That was not a coincidence. They think we're going to bust. And they were right. So Georgia had 5 touchdowns. And I think 3 of them were pretty clearly busts. Would you agree?
Yeah, we were getting schematically owned. They'd just be like, move this guy here. Like, they understood exactly what would get our leverage wrong or move a player out of position. And so it's like, but some of that is like, I don't know. I give like 50 to the player screwing that up and the coach, because it was always like a motion or like a scheme thing that advantaged them,
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that's incompatible with bend but don't break. Keep the ball in front of you, tackle, etc. Yeah. They're going to make a mistake, that kind of whole thing.
Yeah.
So you almost have to rethink, hey, we're not disciplined enough to play chess with anyone. We might need to play checkers. You might need to bring it up front, and you might need to just say, I got him. At the end of the day, the worst thing in the world in defense is to just point at a guy and go, I got him. I mean, you're not going to bust. They might beat you. They might run a rub route on you. They might, do all sorts of stuff. They know what you're in, which is an advantage, but you're not just going to let a guy run free into the end zone, which is part of the problem.
Well, the Noah Thomas man on Cade Phillips where they won, that was at least a hard throw and an impressive route they had to make.
Yeah,
it was a lot different than London Humphreys running up the seams by himself.
Or a guy just running untouched, uncovered in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Kelson says in the chat, they had the plays designed to bust. All they need is a yard of leverage. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that one with Gilbo on that out route, they got him right in the perfect spot. It'd be different if we were but even like the Taft bus, right? They switch release, and it's the same play Vanderbilt ran on us, by the way, where they got that Stowers touchdown. They did the exact same switch release. We busted with a different player, which was Taft. And so it was always just a little thing that they knew that they were going to be able to out leverage us. It wasn't like it was just snap the ball and then we busted. They were breaking our rules, and it was hurting my feelings.
Do you think Petrino still feels like he could earn this job?
I don't know. I haven't paid attention to the search. Look, Petrino's a damn good offensive coach. I don't know what he is as an organizational man and a culture guy. I don't know. But
how about as a volleyball enthusiast?
I was going to say, I don't know what he does in that regard, but the man can coach offenses. That's for sure. And if you're Arkansas, maybe that's enough for you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like you're competing you're not in the lane sweepstakes. So if you're reasonable, maybe Petrino is your guy, and I don't know, maybe made a turnaround since all the drama or whatever, but the guy
anytime his name comes up, I just picture him doing the press conference with the neck brace.
Yeah.
The best of the road rash face.
Yeah.
Not all of that apparently from a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. Yeah. The rumors behind it are even funnier. But this is great metric. Number 5 in red zone and scoring TDs. That's a scheme thing. And then Texas getting absolutely cooked when it comes to giving up red zone touchdowns. Sacks allowed, they are really high, 103rd. Texas is 4th. So hopefully you can get the sacks going. That's a mismatch. They're 114th in interceptions per game. I've told you, the Talon Green experience. You are going to be at the mountaintop, and then you're going to be devastated like 4 plays later, and then you're going back to the mountaintop, baby. But Texas is 33rd, so there is a mismatch advantage there. Hopefully we get some picks. But this isn't really a turnover team. And was it you or Ian in the preseason who pointed out that like everyone on the secondary doesn't have a lot of picks? Like it was just like Taff. I think that
was my thing that I was like, hey, Gilbo started a lot of games at Texas, and he doesn't have any forced fumbles or interceptions. And there's no havoc. That's kind of
and weird. Manny had one, and that was
one,
and that was Texas Tech the year before last year.
That's right.
So yeah, our secondary is really
a lot of havoc induction.
Yeah, and that was a good call. Good call, Paul.
Thanks, man.
Fumbles per game, they're 86. Texas is 16th, so not a mismatch, but a good enough gap. Tackles for loss, they're 54. Texas is getting tackles for loss, which is interesting to me because they weren't really a penetrating defense, at least early on, but they have upped these stats. They were really low in the beginning. Texas 18th in tackling grade according to PFF, and returning production for old Arkansas was 37th. Anything schematic, anything you notice when watching the games that you think are fun about Arkansas's offense? Because really that's a huge matchup. If they're able to turn this into some type of shootout, that's how this game gets scary.
Yeah, I mean, look, we got to keep them in the 20s. That's it. We got to keep them in the 20s, man, by hook or by crook. Because if we get into a shootout with Arkansas, this is like they start to get into like, hey, this is going to be a 1-possession game, and whoever gets the ball last or whoever makes a mistake, and you steal a possession. I mean, what does Arkansas have to lose in this game?
Absolutely nothing.
Why wouldn't every one of your kickoffs be an onside kick?
Yeah.
Like, what do you care?
Yeah, they have no SEC wins, right? So it's just, and they played everybody like really close. And so they've had these moments. Now the problem is they blow it. Like as soon as it's the Shapen paradox where like game looks good, but as soon as it matters, like they find a way to lose.
I knew you'd work Blake Shapen into this.
Well, he's awesome, man.
All we got to do is get a quick Quinn Ewers slight, and we're cooking.
Yeah. Well, Quinn was over relying on screens, and that was able to boost his play.
Okay.
Just letting you know. And if one more quarterback was taken in the NFL, Quinn wouldn't have been in the NFL. So there's also that like fact.
Hey, you know what? We might want to throw more screens.
Well, Paul, we had to grow into that.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember Sark said we needed the maturity to throw the screens to Wingo, and now we're finally at that place. But Arkansas offense can make it fun. And Paul said they have nothing to lose, and they have played teams fairly close. Let's look. So 41-35 versus number 7 Ole Miss. They lose by
really been like blown out by Notre Dame. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So they play Memphis 32-31. They get blown out by Notre Dame, and then coach fired. They play number 3 Tennessee by 3 points. They play number 3 Texas A&M by 3 points. They have like a score versus Auburn difference, 3 points to Mississippi State. They lose by 1 to LSU. Like Arkansas
crazy.
is losing a lot, as you can see, but they are making it competitive in virtually every game and against top ranked teams. So it
sounds to me like Arkansas plus 10.5 is a good bet, Homer.
Yeah, they've been
That's
playing
the current line, amazingly.
Yeah, and it started off higher, right? Like 13 or something.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, sorry.
Don't get crazy.
You were so definitive. I know you check those lines religiously.
I do check those lines.
I was going to say, I'll take your word for it.
When I get bored, I just look at lines.
No, you were saying on one show, you're like, yeah, before I went to bed, check the lines. I was just like, your ritual is just.
There was a live where we were on, and you were asking me a question just as I was putting a big bet on James Madison.
Yeah.
And I was like so excited I got the number.
Yeah.
And it went through because I'm also limited to a couple of my sports books.
Yeah.
For like winning.
It's
like
such a dirty game.
They'll limit your bets if you're successful.
Yeah.
And it went through, and I was like, yes. And you were like, pause. Like you just asked me a question. And I was like, can you restate that? There's a lot of complexity what you just asked. Yeah. You're like, do you think the O-line is good? And I was like, no, they're not very good right now.
All right, guys, before we keep going, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Academy. It's Christmas time. I'm really excited for all of this. And of course, I should have the ad pulled right up, but I do not. So we will pause. The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every single day. Shop in-store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list. From football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands, the most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. All righty, Paul, let's get back to it. All right. Arkansas defense, a totally different story. They absolutely suck. And now our offense is not good, but this Arkansas defense is an absolute doozy.
There's what, 136 teams?
There's 136 teams. Keep that in mind, everybody.
So being 125, 130, 119, that's not good.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
The only thing in the white is opponent seconds per play. It just means that opponents are deliberately beating your ass. They're not doing it quickly.
Yeah, they're still below average there. Which
they're still below. People still can't wait to get to the line of scrimmage. It's like Christmas morning every time you get to go against the Arkansas D.
So opponent points per game, they're 124th in the country.
That's not good.
The Texas offense is 61st in the country, scoring 27.
Yes.
Yes, we're getting there. Opponent plays per game, 111th. Yards per play, 100.
You're averaging 27 points a game. Year 5, you can't even consider another play caller.
That's true. That's crazy, dude. Can't even think about that. Opponent yards per play, 119th. So it's there, man. It's there. D points per drive, 130th. Texas, of course, holds. Texas is not good. This is a Christmas tree. This is a beautiful pastel Christmas tree, one of my favorite versions of the Christmas tree. So Texas does have all the advantages, even though our offense is not very good. Defensive explosiveness, 90th, so they're giving up those big plays. And havoc total, a little bit above average, which is interesting. Their DBs are 38th in creating some havoc, so that part is interesting. So on these havoc stuff is all really they have to lean on, and they do actually have the advantage. So turnovers are possible here.
Let me address that.
Address it.
This is a carryover of their former DC who was fired by Petrino, Travis Williams.
Yeah.
So his big thing was every week, I'm just coming up with a defense. Like based on what I see on what their offense is doing, I am going to come up with a defense. And it's not going to be sound. It's kind of a junk D. But the idea is I don't trust my players. I don't think we're very good. So I'm just going to throw crazy looks at you and hope that creates stops because of the novelty. So it was havoc inducing, but it was also points allowing, right? Yeah. I think that they've actually gotten a little more sound on defense, as evidenced by that LSU score, but they're less havoc inducing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they still suck. They just suck in a different way.
Great. Yeah. All right. Rushing plays.
Signs off. Yeah.
I'm good with it. Yeah.
I like it, man.
I actually liked his defensive game plan. I like coaches that are like, let's ride. Like,
Well, I
know.
respect a coach who's like, hey, my players suck. Like, let's come up with a crazy game plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I respect that because you're taking some swings.
Yeah.
The fear is most coaches are so conservative. They're like, well, if that goes real bad, they're going to put 63 on me, right?
Yeah.
And Travis Williams is like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, do the thing that's more likely. So Arkansas ran a crazy game plan against Tennessee last year. I don't know if you remember. And they just destroyed the Tennessee offense. Like Nico his head was swimming. He had no idea what was happening. And they won the game. They basically won a game they shouldn't have won just because of that scheme. By the same token, they played Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, and they literally put 63 up on Arkansas. So
yeah. Well, you're going to lose either way.
They kind of took it to us, if you'll remember.
Well,
we scored 20 on them.
Yeah. We had to have that like running drive at the end.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, so Travis Williams, I would not hire him, but if you have lesser personnel, to me, that you have to adopt an asymmetrical tactic. And if you get blown out, you get blown out. Who cares?
You're going to lose either way.
You're going to lose either way, but who cares? People are
well. You have upside, so it's like if you're conservative, you're going to lose and really have no shot. If you're crazy, you're probably going to lose, but you got a 15% chance now that you don't. So it's like take the crazier route, the harder to game plan for a route.
That's right.
So they're 79th in defensive rushing explosivity. Flip side, Texas is 127th in the country in rushing explosivity, so we are not able to exploit that.
Are you suggesting that our O-line and running backs are not explosive?
Do you remember week 1 where we were pointing out that our backs are not it, and everybody was like, that's Caleb Downs. Of course they can't beat Caleb Downs.
Trey Wisner averaged 4.5 yards per carry against Ohio State, so slow your roll there.
I mean, week 1, and you were much more on the offensive line. I was talking about the backs mostly, but you nailed it week 1 with Ohio State. You're like, this offensive line sucks. And then it was all 4.5 yards per carry. How can you suck? Or Caleb, that's playing against a good team. It's like, man, it was obvious in week 1, some of the holes there. All right. Yards per rush, they're 108th. Texas with the advantage, 101st.
Hell yeah.
So we got the edge here, boys. We're going to be able to run all over them. So Texas does hold slight advantages. A horrible rushing defense meets a horrible rushing offense. So we have some edges there. Do you think?
What if we're like a service academy game plan? We're just like, hey, Arkansas is always explosive. We bust in the secondary.
Yeah.
We're just going to 3 yards in a cloud of dust the pigs.
I was wondering.
Session for 41 minutes and we win like 23-13.
Well, it's not even the stats. Like when you watch the game, and of course the stats are just recording what happens in the game. But if you're Sark, you're going to be like, I'm going to try to run the ball. Like it's very simple. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. And like I said, our running backs pop up every third or fourth game. They pop out of their hole and they have a good rushing performance. And that's what we love the running backs crowd is able to cling on to. And then they're quiet again for 3 weeks. But hopefully it comes against A&M. I don't want to use up our 3 good run games.
Don't use up your 9-yard run.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We need to save that.
We got to save that 9-yard run.
Yeah. But still some technical advantages. Oh, man. Defensive line yards are 87th. Texas still doesn't have the advantage. We are 95th in offensive line yards. So it's not just the backs. It's not just the O-line. It's both of them are not very good. Rushing power success rate. They actually do have a sizable advantage here. So like third and shorts or stuff we shouldn't be able to run. That's not shocking to anybody. They have a decent stuff rate above average. We're 115th and getting stopped at the line. So there you go. All right, let's look at pass. This is where Texas is able to function is in our passing offense. So let's take a look here. They're 102nd in passing success rate. God, this bumps me out. They're 102nd in passing success rate, so you should be able to just nickel and dime them. Texas holds the advantage as the 100th passing success rate offense. So even though we talk about our offense having good passing success, it's really this number that allows it, which is passing explosivity, where Texas is 21st in the country. Arkansas is 116th. So it shouldn't be nickel and dime. Maybe it is if Sark runs that game plan, the wingo screens, we'll see. This number is, of course, including all previous games before a slight kind of philosophical change occurred. But The deep shot should be there. So this is also why I wonder, does Sark rush this game? Is he going to see 12 personnel, play action shot again? Because the numbers say actually it's a fair game plan, and Sark probably looking for any reason to break that back out. So it's possible we do see that game plan. And I couldn't even be too mad post game about it because it is saying that that's available. We'll see. Yards per pass are 119th. Like I said, you can nickel and dime. Texas is 54th.
Holy moly, we're up to 7.6.
Yeah.
Dang, I should know that. I mean, I've been documenting it, but that's not good for those of y'all who are not stat dorks.
Yep.
Allowing 7.6 yards per attempt. That is crazy.
No, this is our offense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is our offense. We're gaining 7.6.
Thank you.
They're allowing almost 8.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I mean, you're a yard and a half away from a first down every time you pass. That's averaging. That's wild. That's insane. So more than half of them, they're probably getting a first down on like 50% of your completions. It's pretty insane. Their sack rate's pretty good, above average. This is better than Georgia. This is better than Florida. It was better than Vandy, I believe. So they can get sacks here. Texas is 75th in sack rate. And then, of course, that 75th is because Arch avoids at least 5 sacks a game on top of what sacks actually do get there. And that was an interesting thing early in the season, too, because our whole thing was at least we're not getting sacked. At least we're good pass blocking offensive line. And I thought that kind of, too, because I wasn't looking critically. And then I would go on PFF and see our pass blocking efficiencies for pressures and hurries. I was like, oh, no, we're actually horrible. It's just Arch Manning that's been able to avoid it. And as you can see, we're 126 in the country in pass blocking efficiency.
So, glass half full, we're better than 10 teams.
That is true.
So don't be Mr. Negative here all the time.
I won't. I will not let reality get in the way of hyping this team. So why would he run the ball at all? I mean, I agree. Like, this is a horrible rushing offense, but Sark's going to see, well, they are technically a bad rushing defense, therefore. And the coaches, they bring in stats, but they don't bring it in. They don't like live by this. They'll like put it in Sark's face, and I'll be like, okay, my game plan's my game plan. So there's that. And sometimes people evaluate, and I do see this all the time. They evaluate that what they will do, and we'll inevitably see it on the chats. Like somebody will be like, we're going to run great. Arkansas is a bad rushing defense. And they never compare it to Texas's rushing offense, which is also bad. So coaches can have that kind of blind spot too, where they're like, it's there without accounting for if we have the ability to exploit that.
They're going to be watching Jeremiah Love and like, Jeremiah Love is tearing these guys apart. We're going
to Exactly.
Like, well,
and that's a big issue with analysis. People don't end up looking at if they can actually exploit the weakness. They just see that it's there.
Well, one of the most important things for any proportional statement, whether it's economics or politics or just resource distribution in a business, is compared to what?
Exactly.
That's a very important follow-up question for any kind of statement, which is compared to what?
Yeah.
Because people throw out a sort of stat in isolation, and then you always want to be thinking in your mind, whether you're sitting in a business, hearing a business plan, or people talking about sales or whatever, compared to what? Always have that in the back of your mind. And that's a useful thing. I think coaches would benefit from that as well.
The red flag one too is always just like, this market is $1 trillion a year. It's like, so what? What are you going to be able to do to get 3% of the share? Just because the market's big doesn't mean you can show up at it. So just because the opportunity's there, it doesn't mean you have the horses to do anything about the market.
It's why we sell so many cars in China.
Paul,
we don't.
Who's the best mortgage man in all the land?
Hey, I've got a mortgage guy that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And he can get you a good interest rate. The best interest rate. I got to talk to you about the Bugs Bunny cartoon where he says interesting in a very funny way. We're talking about Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. Why Gabe? Well, aside from being an interesting fellow, he's got a law degree, former National Merit Scholar, of course, a proud Longhorn. You have to go with the guy that's going to be the best in the state of Texas. And if you're the best in the state of Texas, you're the best in the world, Connor. Do you agree?
Universe.
Compared to what?
Other universes.
That's right. Exactly right. This guy's the best guy in the universe. Maybe, if we're being overly bold, there could be some alien planet where they're just incredible at mortgages, but I cede nothing to them. Gabe is the man. Give him a call, 832-557-1095. And I do want to credit Justin Wales for inspiring that joke. He was mentioning that in the chat. I decided I'd steal it. Justin Wales, that's Justin Wells, right?
Of course not.
Is that a play on his last name, how he pronounces it? Or is this?
No, Justin is a big fan of whales.
We mean, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't mean orcas.
No.
They're actually dolphins.
I was about to say the dorkiest thing too. I was about to be like, technically, they're not whales.
Have you ever seen the Bugs Bunny monster cartoon where he's like, oh, a monster, my stars. You must know so many interesting people. And he goes on and on.
Are we done with this ad read, Paul? Did you stick?
No, I just transitioned out.
Are we okay? We're still. I wanted to hear 832-557-1095.
832-557-1095.
Say you're taking a very long route.
All right, after this, you're going to Google the Bugs Bunny. The monster that's all hair and he wears tennis shoes?
No, I actually don't.
Did you not watch Bugs Bunny?
No, I was born in 1992, man.
Dude, I wasn't. Bugs Bunny was not made when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was. It aired on your birthday, dude.
No.
You grew up watching it. All I know is Porky Pig, Pepe Le Pew, Elmer Fudd. I'm just going to keep naming them.
Bugs Bunny's great. And
I was watching Rugrats, dog.
It's sad that you were watching like He-Man and this low intellect garbage.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny,
high intellect children's.
Bugs Bunny was subversive, bro.
All right.
He would kiss other men on the lips just to discomfort them.
Psychological warfare.
Get an edge.
Psychological warfare. Okay. DFEI. Arkansas is 88th. Texas 44th. We are battling back, baby. We're at 34th. Then Georgia happens.
I see some green here.
And then we drop back down.
Okay. Well, we could have stayed in the positives for a while. We could have dwelled there for a while.
I wish, man. If the numbers were positive, we could have been there, but they aren't doing that for us. Standard downs rate. They're Arkansas 63rd. Texas is 92nd. Standard down success rate, though, even though they're in standard downs, are not that great. They're 110th. Texas still disadvantaged at 117th, meaning on 2nd and 4, 1st and 10, Texas does not execute. All righty. Passing down success rate, they are 129th in the country. Let's get them behind the sticks. Texas saves itself by having a slightly below average passing down success rate. So Sark, like I said, will draw great individual plays.
That's a solid white.
The sequences, it's like weird. It's weird.
Do you agree? We're not in the red. That's a solid white.
Well, what's 136 divided by 2? This is math.
Hey.
All right.
Solid white was how I was described as a football player.
Is that what, on your
that was a solid white. That was the scouting report.
All right. We are 82nd in early downs EPA. That's what I'm saying. But they're 124th in early downs EPA on defense. So Texas does hold the advantage. They're really bad on third downs. Texas is below average, but still better. Damn. Average third down defense for Arkansas is 90th. Texas is 110th in the country there. So way behind the sticks perpetually. Slight advantage in fourth down. Slight advantage in red zone. But we are one position behind them in red zone touchdown only. So Arkansas.
Hey, Connor, Mike D in the chat brings up an important point for you. Are you familiar with or did you watch Fat Albert growing up?
I didn't watch it, but I was just aware of it in the ethos.
Fat Albert was great.
Three Stooges, not when I was a kid, but when you get into film school and you like film, you're going to run into the Three Stooges.
Fat Albert had good jokes. Man, you like school in summer, no class.
They was Fat Albert a Cosby show?
He was. Yeah.
I'm not trying to make it dark, but I'm saying it was Cosby, right?
This was when Cosby was a beloved American dad to all of us, and everyone loved Bill Cosby, and everyone loved Fat Albert.
Yeah. All right. Sacks per game. Arkansas is 59th. Texas is 86. So Arkansas does have the advantage here. And like I said, these have been far better than most of the teams that we've played who had really low sacks, and they still consistently outperform their sack rate. They're not getting a lot of interceptions. Texas is not throwing a lot, even though, we're still 60th. So it's not like we're great in not throwing them, but still better than Arkansas. Texas is not fumbling, which is good. With all the back issues, at least they're not putting it on the ground.
That's right.
That's important.
Also, I do have to praise Arch. As uneven as things have been on offense, and as much as he's getting hit and the pocket's falling apart, and maybe our receivers, some of them aren't like the most elite route runners, route tree guys, he is not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he threw a pick against Georgia. If you look at the number of pressures they had, hits on the quarterback, the game's situation, he probably should have turned it over 2 or 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Fumbles, interceptions. Arch is holding on to the ball. So thank God.
Yeah, the lack of fumbles, lack of picks is what has kept the offense from like the bottom completely falling out, Their tackling grade's pretty good. They're 14th in the country. I didn't expect to see that. When you see such a horrific defense, you would think that they're just missing tackles. But they're not at a bad clip. All right. Penalties per game. Someone asked, I want to see who leads in penalties per game or not leads in a bad way. Arkansas is 106. Texas is 135th. There is only one team that has worse penalties than Texas.
Georgia State.
Sark, did you watch the Sark presser? I know you're notoriously not a press conference.
I don't buy into press conferences, and people who watch it trying to react to it. I think you're losers.
All right. Well, I'm about to be a loser because I'm about to show you this. So Anwar asked Sark, basically, why are there so many penalties? And then Sark got defensive and was like, well, penalties are different in context or whatever, and just kind of brushed him off. And then our main man, Joe Cook, had another question right behind Anwar that was prepped that was like, look, we know that a shortstop, if the ball goes between his legs, there's not much he knows the ball went between his legs, but what is the recourse for repeat offenders? And Sark said, we're going to have to start looking at making tough decisions there. But it wasn't Sark's best press conference. It was pretty defensive and, acting like that there's context to the penalties. Okay. Would you like to share with us the context of the penalties? Because you're 135th in the country, man. We're not nitpicking here. This is a major problem. So Sark getting a little cagey and was a little defensive yesterday throughout the press conference.
I will say that there are differences in penalties. There's penalties of aggression,
right? Where
you have a personal foul and that other player gets helped off the field. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying that's a different penalty from it's 3rd and 1 and you jump off sides and now it's 3rd and 6.
You're false starting in the red zone.
Ryan Niblett gets a 53-yard return on a kickoff, and you're starting to get a momentum shifter. You've shifted the field, and now you're starting on your 7-yard line.
When Warren Roberson has done that for 2 years, I think he has 9 penalties on him.
Right. So there are definite differences in penalties. I mean, one of the most dominant games I've ever seen, or one of the worst games I've ever seen Texas get blown out, was Miami Hurricanes and the Cotton Bowl, the famous back 1991 Cotton Bowl. We lost the game, 46-10, 46-3, something like that. Miami had 225 yards in penalties. And I think 7 of them were personal fouls. So, I mean.
But ours aren't.
They're not. And I'm not saying go get personal fouls, but I am saying our penalties only have a cost in one direction, and they're not born of aggression. So they're the worst kinds of penalties. Not that there's any good ones.
Well, that's what he's saying. There's context, and there's really not. You're pre-snap. You're not disciplined, and so it's. And I don't expect fans want Sark to flog himself of I am so bad and I hate my team. Not that, but just to brush it off. Penalties aren't a problem when you're 135th in the country.
But you got to realize, man, when you're giving a press conference, you're not just talking to us. You're talking to your own team.
Well, I get that too, but it's also you're talking to your own team, but you're also talking to the fans. So it's sometimes
but you're also talking to your own team.
Right. But you're also talking to the fans.
But also your own team.
But the whole point of a press conference is for the press. And it's
also the fans and your team.
Yeah, I agree. But it's not just your team.
But all of them.
Because you know what? You can talk to your team anytime because you're always with your team.
You know who he's also talking to?
His team.
Himself.
Yeah, but it's like that's the thing too. Here's my thing: is like I get it, it's frustrating, and sometimes Sark will come out and be very accountable. Sometimes it's a little testy. He's a human being, right? Like some days I'm a little grumpy, right? But it's still like you're in a tough spot. The fans want to hear a little bit more, and you're not giving it. That's the point. I mean, you're talking to the press. What does the press do? Disseminate it to the fans. They're a proxy.
Here's the truth. He knows his team sucked. And he knows that this has been a big disappointment. And he knows that he's got some big decisions to make.
Yeah.
But he is not going to just throw
he's not going to flog him. He's not going to flog himself. I get that.
Or other people. I think he's going to, I mean, look, I just think that's a lose-lose proposition. When you get up there and you absolutely stink and you get your ass kicked by Georgia, which I think most of us view as a litmus test, it's just very difficult to get up there no matter what's asked and come off in a way that's he's either going to come off as overly critical and sort of
it's lose-lose.
Yeah, or he's going to come off as this Pollyanna, like, well, I thought we played good football. Really, it just got away from us in the fourth quarter, right?
Well, he did a little bit of that.
Well, but you just have to say something. And I don't know, man. I honestly, I don't come down on coaches and press conferences usually unless they're just completely obtuse. And look, Sark knows. Like, if any of y'all are wondering, like, does he even know we're not playing? Like, yeah, dude, he knows. He gets it. And he knows, like, a bunch of his guys, like his dudes on his staff, kind of betrayed him. But he also knows that he's also to blame for that too.
Well, our boy Kirk Bowles, legendary. He always gives me a short. He's incredible. He does a great job. But he was like, why is the team underachieving? And then Sark gets defensive, and it's like, according to who? And Kirk is like, preseason number one. Like,
well, I think the correct answer is according to your own standards.
Correct. And so Sark like deflected there. Like I'm saying, it was kind of, I'm looking globally. It wasn't a great press conference, according to who. And then he said, well, I guess you should look at the people who voted us number one. It's like, that's not what you were saying preseason. We're not in SEC championship contention with 2 weeks left. Like, and I get it. You don't need to say my team sucks, I hate them. But you can be like, look, we are underachieving for XYZ reason. I need to be better. You can still take it on yourself. But it's like, he was just kind of deflecting, and we know he's not going to throw anybody under the bus. It just wasn't the best performance, is what I'm saying. And I would like a better performance. Luck rating. Arkansas is 136 in the country. That's what I'm talking about, baby. When it's crunch time, Arkansas is going to mess it up, hopefully.
Oh, my gosh.
Texas, 44th, so have the mismatch there. They are 133rd in turnover margin per game. Texas 14th. So that's a huge metric for why, if Texas wins, the success should be there.
Field position is big.
Yeah, they're 99th in field position. We're number 2 in the country in field position, which is awesome. Texas, most talented team in the country. Doesn't feel like that. And then Arkansas is the 30th most talented team in the country. Their special teams is 68th. Texas is 5th. They play the number 9 strength of schedule. When we looked at their schedule, I agree. Texas has the 17th hardest schedule. What's your pick, Paul?
What's my pick?
Yeah. Who do you got? You got Arkansas, what?
I'll take Texas.
You got Arkansas plus 10. You think Arkansas is going to cover?
I think Arkansas plus 10.5. Let me emphasize that.
The half matters.
The 0.5 matters on a semi-key number.
Yeah.
I would tend to favor Arkansas with the spread because I would expect a close game. If Texas, as I started to say it, it's so stupid. If Texas kind of puts it together, we can get margin on them because their defense is so bad. And on paper, our defense should be able to match up with them really well, actually. But we have not been playing on paper this year.
Yeah, here's the paper.
There you go.
Yeah,
a lot of red on that paper.
Drew, 9-3 in CFP playoffs is going to reach so close to greatness, Paul. Almost there.
Drew, I don't know if you're being sincere with that comment.
I don't either. All right, guys. That's
Say
Arkansas.
this.
We
Can I
cannot.
say this?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can beat A&M, but A&M could beat themselves.
Yeah, if they do the South Carolina
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah.
And if that trooper's not there to save them and provide the spark they need.
What the hell was going on with that guy?
That dude thinks he's awesome. Like, he's just on the highway. Everyone's getting a ticket, man.
Holy
Everyone.
cow.
61 and a 60, prison with that guy. It was so unnecessary. And then he got relieved of his duties mid-game. And then the DPS had to come out and say, like, we're aware of what happened. That was weird. But
I mean, he was clearly either an Aggie alum or Aggie fan, right?
Yeah, that or he's a complete. Well, he's already a psychopath, but just hates South Carolina for whatever reason. That man, his job was apparently to guard that tunnel.
I would take away his weapon and give him a squirt gun.
I would actually love a body cam YouTube channel to drop.
Just that guy's interaction.
Yeah, it's just 3 seconds of him walking into someone, but that was so weird.
Yelling at kids in yards.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Guys, I want you to go to Inside Texas and I want you to pay $1 and then I want you to get 1 month. That's what I want you to do. That is your mission. If you have not done so, exit this live and head right over. Paul and myself are about to go into a film study with our man Ian Boyd. We're going to break down some of the coverage issues. A lot of people have asked, what's going on? Well, guess what? Paul and Ian are going to be there to help you out and let you know. We're excited for that. Also, don't forget recruiting intel coming up at 1:30-ish. Hope to see you there. Everyone have a wonderful day. And this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors.